It's such a glorious day. Oh, 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 it's a glorious day. Oh, oh, it's such a glorious day. It's a glorious day on the planet I love. It's a glorious day on the planet I love. It's a glorious day on this here planet we love. Feels good, feels good. Oh, good morning, everybody. Are we up? We live? Oh, we're live. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start with this song. Let's do a little sing-along to start here. Because we are the light. We need to be the light. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light in this world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light in this world. And we shine. And we shine. And we shine so bright. And we shine. And we shine. And we shine so bright. You are the light. You are the light. You are the light. You are the light in this world. You are the light. You are the light. You are the light in this world. And you shine. And you shine. And you shine. And you shine so bright. And you shine. And you shine. And you shine so bright. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light in this world. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light in this world. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine so bright. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine so bright. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light in this world. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light in this world. And we shine. And we shine. And we shine. And we shine so bright. And we shine. And we shine. And we shine so bright. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light in this world. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light in this world. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine so bright. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine so bright. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light in this world. One more time. We are the light. We are the light. We are the light in this world. Ooh, happy Sunday, everybody. Yes, we are.
Good morning, everybody. So nice to see you. I know why you guys are excited today. I am too. Because, I know it is. You guys all, it's bus. I'm what? Homework. You got homework. We're coming to homework, but before homework, it's Bastille Day. Oh, what? Bastille Day. Yes. What a holy cow. Yeah, so if we were in France, it would be a very big day. If we were, if we were in Canada, it would be a very big day. And I remember when I was much younger, I had a very good friend of mine. He now lives in Australia, but he used to live there, and we would go every Bastille Day. There was a great restaurant right by the French consulate in San Francisco, and it was like the best party to go to. So anyway, whatever here to there. Anyway, I'm so happy that you guys are here today. Welcome on July 14th, Bastille Day. But it's good to see you all here. Let's see, what do I want to say? I'll do the announcements first and then we'll go. So Clay, I just want to say you're throwing me off because you're not where you usually are. And I keep saying, who is that man over there? It's Clay. Anyway, you got me guessing.
Disruption.
It's a disruption. A disruption is always a healthy thing, man. And this has been the week of disruption. Holy cow. Yep. So a couple things just to know. We have a barbecue coming up August 10th. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some good food. We're going to have Lee on music. So that's going on. We have classes that are happening even as we speak. Jim has a class on Sunday mornings at 8:30 or 9. I see you here I see you here at 8:30. You're here at 8:30. Yeah. And we're talking about one thing or another. Of course, your class is at 9 because we're talking usually. And so that's going on. And so Paul has meditation Wednesdays at 12:30. And so that's going on. Anything else going on at the center that you should probably know? We're going to do, are you? Okay. Starting next week. They could do it today. So I just want to speak to the ladies at the bookstore. You guys are selling tickets to the to the barbecue. Congratulations, surprise. Yeah. So welcome to the Alfred E. Newman Center for Spirituality, where our mantra is, what me worry. So that's going on. Let's see what else is happening. Prayer is happening all the time. That's the thing that we do best. So if your heart has been touched in any way, please do not leave without getting prayer. And you can do it a couple ways. You can see one of our practitioners, Liz, Kurt, Terry, Paul, Andrea. Those are the practitioners that are here today. You can do that. You can write a prayer request in the narthex there. We pray on them on we pray on those during the week. You can schedule a time for spiritual counseling with any one of the practitioners or myself, or Paul has a prayer circle about 10 minutes after service. So with that, okay, homework time. Anybody remember the questions? I do. So the big question is this. So what are you dancing away from and what are you dancing towards this week? Have you noticed yourself, we're talking about the dance, the rhythm, the flow, where your energy is plugged in. So where have you been giving your energy to the things that you desire and where have you been pulling your energy back from the things that don't serve you anymore? Okay.
I've got one.
You got one, yes.
Yeah, I had a fun week of kind of solidifying my purpose a little bit, like my mission statement. And that basically I was moving away from using my own fear to fight my fear and just trying to step it fully into my authenticity of passion and compassion to fight the fear instead. So moving away from fear toward love, which...
Fabulous. I have one too. Mine is much more pedestrian than that, but I have one. I had this eye-opening experience that had been building all week, and then the catharsis happened having some dinner with friends. And it was this. My intention for this year is to really focus on health. And I just made a decision. I'm just not going to eat crappy food anymore. I'm just not going to do it. It's just not worth it, because, for me, the question always is, before we start service, let me start service. The question always is, what is worthy of your finitude? What is worthy of your finitude? Walter knows, it's, we are all blessed with this amazing thing called life. And as Tolkien says, we are also blessed with this thing called mortality. That there's a beginning and end of this experience we have in life. So knowing there's a shelf life on this experience we're having right now, what's worthy of it? And where do we put our energies that just aren't worthy for the fact that, here we are. So what that looked like is, and I did a very courageous thing. I sent a dish back because I just basically said, in a very kind way, I just said, you know what? This is inedible. It's not worth it. You know?
Boundaries. You gotta have boundaries.
Yeah, it's just I it wasn't worthy of eating. Talk about mortality. Yeah. And she says, "Can you explain why?" And I said, "Why? Yes, I can."
How long you got?
Yeah, exactly. And I named 5 things. Yes, Mary. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So moving away from that, and every time that fear comes up, just keep going. I know the universe is providing, and speak the truth, and keep moving in that direction.
Fabulous. Yeah. So, spoiler alert. I'll give a line from my talk today, but it is this: says Michael Beckwith, who's the spiritual director of Agape International Center for Spiritual Living. He says a very cool thing that I really love. He says if he says if we are not pulled by a vision, we are pushed by conditions. If we are not pulled by a vision, we are pushed by conditions. And pro tip, allow ourselves to be lured by that divine vision that desires our good. Always, yes. Yes, Billy.
I've had a horrific week.
Mm.
Went into SOS mode, not last Thursday before. I've been to Verizon a total of over 14 hours. I was on the phone from 8 a.m. to 5:47 p.m. to get it taken care of. The next day it goes into SOS mode.
Oh my.
Gives you nothing.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. So this happened 8 times in a row. And all 8 times I had it fixed. And finally I went, you know what? I think I'll just get another phone and go somewhere else.
There you go.
And try to pay my phone down or pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so these little commercials keep ringing in your ear. They play them over and over and over. And anyway, everybody tried.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody failed. And I came to the realization that there's just certain things that you can and cannot control.
Right.
And I just had to give in and give up a little bit because I was down there every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally came to the realization I have no control over this.
Right. Well, control, I think, is just a story we make up so we can sleep at night.
Right.
We just, we are. Sherry. Fabulous.
Beautiful.
Fabulous. Good stuff. All right. Yes.
I'm reading a book called Brave Thinking by Mary Morris. And I know that a lot of people have heard her podcast, so where did she come from?
Mm.
The internet. Okay, and I'm working with a life coach, and just a little bit, I can barely afford it. But anyway, it's teaching me to, it's very powerful. I can barely read it, and then I go, turn it, put it down, and absorb it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give it away because I think maybe some people might want to read it. But there's 2 kinds of thinking. There's the lazy way. Oh, yeah. And then there's the way that's very assertive, where you create, this is going to sound so trite, but that you create your future the way you want it to be, not just like that. And yes, of course, there's certain things you can't control. But there's a bunch of stuff you can.
Mm-hmm. Emerson says this. He says, when when we're on this path, he says, it's like we're on a river. And he says, doors begin to open where heretofore we didn't even know doors existed. So, when we allow ourselves to be lured and drawn by that vision, because we're at that place where the universe, we're participating in the creation of it. Yeah, right on. Cool. Okay, should we do Sunday service, guys? Thank you for the feedback. I love that. I love that we can have a conversation, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I think, and I appreciate you guys are here, but I think to myself, would I go to a church where I sat in a pew and somebody told me something without asking me anything? So I don't want to be that minister. So with that, anybody, you got anything to say, Jim?
What was your week like?
30 seconds or less?
I was just thinking I got all of my speaking out in the class earlier today, but it's an ongoing journey. I think where we're trying to understand our connection to fate, in the sense that there's a lot of deterministic things in our world, and how do we relate to that? And it has to go to the question of control and how do we operate within that context. So it's just more of an ongoing journey for me.
Fabulous.
Oh, me? Well, it was. I thought I already spoke on this, but yeah, it was for me. It was quite philosophical in the sense that I was creating a lot of my art out of problem solving, which is fear based, and I had this realization that I want to get back to just going to that pure love from human to human through the art, instead of being fear based. Just going, I'm reaching out directly through love and just focusing on that, because that's more authentic to my comfort level than being fearful or upset or angry about the world and trying to figure it out art in that energy. So just going back to the love is like, oh, that makes total sense for me.
Fabulous. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I like the idea of vision, and to really allow this vision to carry and to guide us. And then that's what we were talking about in the meditation on Wednesday at 12:30. It's this idea about vision and how we're always in this place of vision, but we're kind of not. And I think the journey is to get back to that place of vision. Like, what is the vision of our lives, and how do we live within that framework and the context of the vision that is carrying forth and pulling us to a higher expression of who we are.
Fabulous. Well, let's let that vision take us into service then, and you can drive the bus for a while.
So welcome everyone to the Hilltop Spiritual Center. My name is Paul Calabro, and it is an honor to be up here today, praying with you all, and really being in this place of vision where we connect to this higher source. And I'm so grateful to be here every Sunday, because we're all here committed to that, because we wouldn't be here if we weren't. And we're all sharing this wonderful idea of God in our lives, and just sitting back and listening to everyone's stories and how they're in this dance between what brings us to a greater sense of our vision and what doesn't. And I couldn't help to think about, Eckhart Tolle in one of his books, where he talks about, like the divine is the dance, and we are the dancer. So life is just this beautiful dance. And, sometimes we're dancing towards the things that bring us towards that vision, and sometimes we're not. And then that led me to think about one of my teachers in the non-dual realm, who is from France, and he would say that life, the life in God is like a bungee cord, and so the further we get away from God, grace brings us right back. And so maybe those experiences that we have are just like that, Bill with the phone, and these are experiences that bring us closer to the divine when we're in a way find ourselves moving away from the divine. So another teacher of mine would say that God is like a game of peekaboo, right? So there are times where we have God in our lives, like right now, and there are times where God is in our lives, and maybe we strayed from God. So God is this like game of peekaboo. And so on that note, let us just simply pray into that, and really take in this sense of vision in our lives. And if you like, you can close your eyes, or just keep them open and really stay present in the moment. Whatever the case is, let us pray. And so we start by simply, let's get attuned to our breathing. How beautiful it is that we get to take in this life through our breathing, through the rhythmic process that allows us to live fully. And to know that there is this presence that moves and has its being in us. And it is a reflection in all things, whether good or bad. For we sit in this presence here and now, knowing that whatever takes place in our lives, that we can find this stability, this love, in the ground of being. For this presence of life is God. It is spirit. It is divine. And it is everywhere present. And it is here now within each and every one of us. It moves and has its being in the love that is spoken of within each and every word by our beloved minister, Reverend Dr. Guy. And it moves through the music, through the beautiful tonality and the harmony and the notes and the words that speak of nothing but love by our blessed musician, Lee Coulter, and the beats that allow that to fully be magnified within our consciousness by Jim. And every one of us here today, as we share this consciousness of love in the unity and the grace that led us here, and all the things that transpired this morning, I know that it is simply God making its way known more and more in our lives. And so grateful I am for this presence, this knowing, this moment, this gnosis, by which we are here sharing and celebrating this beauty, this love of the divine, as we share the vision of hope, of life, of truth. I give thanks. I let it be so. We call it forth into being, and so it is. And so not too long ago, there was this person I found online in social media by the name of Guy Finley. And he's this spiritual teacher. And I was starting to listen to what he would have to say. And it's just beautiful what he would have to say. And it's the way he formulates his words and his message. I thought that it really helps me center and really find this place of vision, this place of love, of centering, of really allowing this presence of life to seep further in my life. And so I thought this reading was pretty cool earlier in the week that came up and really describes this idea of freedom for me. And so I thought I should share it with you all. And so here it goes. It's written by Guy Finley. And I thought it was kind of cool because his name is Guy. So the reading goes, believing that avoiding the experience of an unwanted or otherwise unknown moment is the same as freedom from the fear of it is like being lost in the African bush, crossing paths with a hungry lion, and hoping that if you just look the other way, it will too. So I'll read that again. Believing that avoiding the experience of an unwanted or otherwise unknown moment is the same as freedom from the fear of it is like being lost in the African bush, crossing paths with a hungry lion and hoping that if you just look the other way, it will too. And so now we will enter that with a brief meditation. just allow us to further explore that reading and this beautiful moment and energy that we have together, where we find more receptivity to the beautiful message that is to come.
So I'm excited to say that I've written a new song, birthed a new song into the world, and I'm also happy to say that I think it might be a sing-along in the chorus, and perfect for this kind of atmosphere, both in this space and in the world right now, and maybe hopefully forever if I'm making good art. But the chorus goes, if we can try to sing this along, it goes, anyone under the sun. Let's try that. Anyone under the sun. The next part goes, anyone under the moon. Let's try that. Anyone under the moon. Then it goes, I send my love out to you. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. I hope you feel some loving soon. Let's string it all together. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon, anyone under the moon, I send my love out to you. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. I hope you feel some loving soon. That's it. Let's try that every time that hits. There's an ancient fear creeping here. There's an air of yesteryear. It may never disappear. Let's draw these lines so very clear. Here we go. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. I hope you feel some loving soon. They know just how to make us fight. Our evolution's black and white. The truth is where you shine your light, so we can see who has the right. Here we go. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. They say we got these separate ways, then you watch how power plays. Now all I know and all I see is I am you and you are me. Here we go. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon again. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. So beautiful. Thanks for singing. I wrote that on Wednesday, so it feels the heart that it's come to life just now. Thanks, Jim.
I love that idea of an ancient fear. Not that I like the idea of having an ancient fear, but I'm aware of an ancient fear that kind of comes up. So, creating a talk is kind of a funny thing. It's like building a house in some ways. It's like a lot of things. I can go on and on about similes, but I won't. But in some ways, it's kind of like building a house. And what it is, you want to find the cornerstone. You want to find the thing that you can kind of build the whole superstructure of the whole talk on. And so the thing that I've been meditating on is a quote from Oscar Wilde. And Oscar Wilde says this. He says, who, being loved, is poor. Let me say that again. What person who is loved is poor? Sit with that. Because I think what it's inviting us to say, because I think you can kind of think of other things too, not just the poverty of economics, the poverty of spirit, the poverty of creativity. Wherever we feel there's a sense of lack or diminishment in our life, but if we're feeling that experience that we are loved, can we honestly say that we are lacking something? And I think there's two things in that. One is this concept of the power of what love is and really how we define love to be. It's not just this sentimental thing, but it is a force. It is a force of creativity. It's a force of life. It is a force of good. It is that experience, and the experience of receiving it is powerful and transformative. And so, as I sit with this thought, my mind kind of went different places. So let me tell you how a talk is assembled by a thing like that, and you can kind of see where I go left field and hopefully eventually get back. Because then I started thinking about that, who being loved is limited or bound. And as I started thinking about that, I started thinking about something that Joseph Campbell says, where he says that if you want to understand a culture, if you want to understand where a people are at collectively, look at their art. Look at the art that is going on then, because that's reflective. And I think I think that's true on a collective level, and I think it's also true on an individual level. And it was interesting because I was thinking about, what triggered that was a song that was part of the soundtrack of my youth, middle school, high school. I'm talking about that kind of youth. And the song was, of course, Simon and Garfunkel, Sounds of Silence. And there's this wonderful line in it where he says, the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls. That voice that's wanting to be spoken is there. And it's not necessarily the pundits, because when we look outside of ourself for the answer, it's someone else's opinion of what should be. And it's really about what's internal within us and what's organically kind of growing. And as I thought that, I started thinking, it's really interesting to me, because in high school, where I felt like I was bound by this, I had to go to school, I had parents, I had to live it, all the kind of things. And it was like, oh, I can't wait until I'm, older and I don't have all these restrictions on me. But really, when I think about that, that was the time that was so formative in planting the seeds of my own emancipation. And I think of the music then, I think of Crosby, Stills and Nash, and of course, coming of age in the time of the Beatles and the Beach Boys. But there was Crosby, Stills and Nash, there was Poco, there was this music, and the music spoke in a very visionary way. Simon and Garfunkel, of course, a very visionary way of what was possible and what we could do and where we would be. I think for myself, if I can speak personally for a while, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes talking personally, but I think, what happened in my own deconstruction recently that I went through, it was based on a song. It was based on Wooden Ships by Crosby, Stills and Nash. It was based on this idea that I had that by the time we got here, and I couldn't even imagine being 70, I couldn't even imagine what 2024 was like, but I knew somewhere in the future we would have gotten our act together by now, and that things would be working by now, and that and so one day it was like, I had this vision, and it was the thing that carried me, and what I realized that's not what was going on at all. But that sense of optimism that I still have, that sense of creating a better world that I still have, that idea that my encounter with this creative, loving force that I call the divine, that still have and evolves, was really then. And then I thought, the time that I felt like I was really free was when I was probably most in bondage. And I'm thinking about the 80s, and then I'm thinking about the music of the 80s, and I'm thinking about a specific movie that sort of encapsulated the 80s for me. And the music was, I was a big Brian Ferry's fan, and I was a big Eurythmics fan, and there was songs about obsession. And who do you want me to be in bed with you, is kind of like one of the themes. Or Slave to Love. And Slave to Love, I think, is just, I actually listened to it coming here this morning. I asked you guys once before, what's the soundtrack that you have driving to church? And you were all like, oh, I listen to podcasts, I listen to this, I listen to that. And I'm like, am I the only one that listens to the Doors on Sunday morning, the Beatles, or whatever the case may be? But there was Brian Ferry singing Slave to Love. And that's from this movie, or part of it is from this movie, 9.5 Weeks. And we were talking about this before service. I don't know if anybody see that movie back in the 80s, 1985? Mickey Rourke, when he looked like Mickey Rourke. Yeah, and Kim Basinger. It's not the movie that I would like to say, oh, you should watch this movie, because it's an unsettling, it's a disruptive movie. It really is. It's about a young woman who was newly divorced, and she works as an art consultant or something like that, if I can remember. And she moves to New York City, and she is seduced by this very powerful, wealthy man. And he wants to take care of her, as he says, but he reveals nothing about who he is. And in this period, it is where she has given away all her sense of who she is to someone who she knows nothing about. And I won't say the spoiler of that. But it's interesting. I remember there's like a couple lines where she says, like, I can't think about anything else. I'm just so distracted that I can't get anything else done. And when she's telling this to one of her friends, and her son says, sounds like love. Yikes. But the heady days of the 80s, right? The heady days of Pluto and Scorpio. There was even a book that I remember reading that it was called The Culture of Desire. But it was God, we used to dance to that stuff. And as I thought about this idea of slave to love, how antithetical that is. There's Cornel West, who I believe is one of the most moral and intellectual minds of our time. He says that he is a slave to hope. And I really love Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West, and I would gently, respectfully disagree with this idea of a slave to anything being a good thing. A sense of advocating the truth of who we are, or our own sense of who we are, to something outside of us as a way to move towards the good. So then I started making lists. I was thinking, slave to love, that just, or slave to hope. Those things are just so antithetical. It's like saying that I am a socialist for Trump, or a pacifist for Biden, or a labor advocate for Amazon, or a human rights advocate for Apple, or a health advocate for Big Pharma. I could go on and on and on. But it was like, what an interesting thing, right? Because we are so willing to give part of ourself away to something that promises something for who we are. And there's never any freedom in any of that. So the real question then is for all of us to sit and ask, where do I give my power away? And what's the story I tell myself about why that's a good idea? I think part of the awakening for me then was I was in a job, I remember, and I had this dream. This dream has stayed with me for decades. And in this dream, I had gone to give blood because I used to give blood. And I remember, and when you've all been to the blood bank before, I'm assuming you all know what a blood bank is. You go there and you lay down, and they put a needle in your arm and they take a pint of blood. It's pretty easy, and then they give you donuts and orange juice. Or they used to. So I remember in this dream, I went to give blood, and they hooked me up, and they walked away. And I realized in the dream, oh my God, my life force is being drained right out of me. I'm going to die. Now, what's interesting, I woke up after that dream, but what was interesting to me as I reflect on that dream is, and this, of course, is our subjective mind at work, is nowhere in the dream did my subjective self say, hey, why don't you just unplug yourself from that? But it was just this passive sense of just saying, you know, this is how it is. This is how it's supposed to be. This is my lot in life. Whatever story that we tell ourselves about how we've allowed ourselves to get hooked into something that drains our life force away. Dion Fortune, who is this great old occult warhorse, she comes out of the Golden Dawn and has written lots of things, but she, in her book, Psychic Self-Defense, she talks about this idea about psychic vampires. Here I am in a New Thought church talking about the occult and Dion Fortune. But she talks about this idea of psychic vampires. And here's the thing. I'm guessing everybody in this room has met one. They're the kind of person that they latch onto you and they kind of feed off your life force. They just kind of drain. And when you walk away from them, you don't feel refreshed or encouraged or excited about anything. You feel drained and kind of worn out and disoriented. You know, you kind of like, you want to go home and take a shower, or in the case of a blood bank, you want, you know, donuts and orange juice to sort of cope with what's going on. But how we defend ourselves from those people, places, situations, stories, they're all stories, that latch onto us, kind of like the movie, and we allow our creativity, our strength, our compassion, whatever, to be drained from us because we've allowed ourselves to be attached to something else. And by the way, kind of like the dream, when we think about it, we have the faculties to do whatever we want to do. So I'm going to give one reading today because it's long. Not real long, but it's long enough that it just warrants one. And it's from the Hebrew Bible. And it's one of my favorite passages in the human Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, because it's so unsettling. And in many ways, part of the story of the Hebrew Bible is, how do a people who were enslaved now live in freedom? Because, you know, the myth is, the legend is, they were slaves in Egypt and then they were liberated and they created their own sense of being, and it was something that they always struggled with. But there was a period in the development of who the Hebrews were where they were sort of like tribal Bedouins, and they were governed by what were called judges, more tribal leaders, more kind of maybe like warlords, almost a sense. But it was kind of a diverse, almost anarchistic kind of situation. And so they were governed by those and prophets. And so this is from the first book of Samuel, chapter 8. And I'm going to kind of read the whole thing, maybe, and play a little bit with it here. And so it reads, it says, Now Samuel got old. Now when Samuel got old, he appointed his sons to serve as Israel's judges. The name of his oldest son was Joel. The name of his second son was Abijah. And they served as judges in Beersheba. But Samuel's sons didn't follow in his footsteps. They tried to turn a prophet. They accepted bribes and they perverted justice. Imagine that. Governors, leaders, accepting bribes and perverting justice. It's as old as we are. It's one of the conditions, and it's kind of the thing. So the Israelite elders got together and they went to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, listen, you are old now and your sons don't follow in your footsteps. So appoint us a king to judge us like all the other nations have. It seemed very bad to Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. So he prayed to the divine. And it says, then the divine answered Samuel, comply with the people's requests, everything they ask of you, because they haven't rejected you. No, they have rejected me as the king over them. They are doing to you only what they are doing to me. From the day that I have brought them out of Egypt to the very minute, abandoning me and worshiping other gods. So comply with their requests. Give them a clear warning. Tell them how the king will rule over them and operate. And so here's an interesting thing. So basically, how I'm reading this is, and again, we're not asking ourselves, did this happen? We're asking what it means, because nobody was there taking notes. These are legends, these are myths, these are stories. And but they're stories that were written down, obviously, because they want to remember this. And in all philosophical and spiritual training, it is always about remembering. So here's Samuel then, he's connecting with this divine essence. And what they're saying is, we want to be like everyone else. We want to feel like we're part of what's going on here. We want a king to tell us what to do. So then Samuel explained everything that the divine had said to the people who were asking for a king. He said, "This is how a king will rule over you and operate," Samuel said. So you want a king? And God is saying, they want a king, man, give them a king. Because here's one of those metaphysical truths. We always get the leaders we deserve. We always do. And so Samuel said, he will take your sons and use them for his chariots and his cavalry and runners for his chariots. He will use them as his commanders of troops, 1,000 and troops of 50, or to do his plowing and his harvesting, or to make his weapons or parts of his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, or bakers. He will take your best fields, your vineyards, and your olive groves and give them to his servants. He will give 1/10 of your grain and your vineyards to his officials and servants. He will take your male and female servants, along with the best of your cattle and donkeys, and make them do his work. He will take 1/10 of your flocks, and then you yourselves will become slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out, because the king you choose for yourselves, but on that day, the divine won't answer. But the people refused to listen to Samuel and said, "No, there must be a king over us so that we can be like all the other nations." Yeah, we want a king. And then as you continue this remarkable story of these people, it's kind of like the beginning of the end, because then what happens, man? Their kings aspire to become pharaohs. David, Solomon, and then on and on and on. They become arms dealers. They build the temple with slaves. They take the lands. They do all the things that would happen. And so it begins, and it's one corrupt king after another corrupt king, which weakens the nations. And then, of course, all that happens and how they are dispersed. Yeah, what a great idea to have someone just tell us what to do. What could possibly go wrong? Then I thought about myself. And I thought myself, the other night we were with some dinners with some friends. No, we weren't with dinner with some friends. That person is not here today, so I can kind of freely talk about this. So we were at a gathering of some friends, and we were talking, and this person and I were talking, and I was saying, because I'm working on something, I'm working through something, and I just said to that person, I said, what I want is, I just want someone to say to me, just do this, and it will work. All you got to do is, here is the plan, do the plan. And what this person said to me in their wisdom that stopped me in my boots is this. They said, you already know what you need to do. You're just not ready. And what I offer is to think of situations in your own life where you may be struggling with something. And maybe the answer is this: you already know what to do. You're just not ready to make that change. There's this remarkable story of Malcolm Muggeridge, who was this journalist, and he was a writer and all these things, and he was going to have an interview with Padre Pio. Padre Pio was a living saint. There's all kinds of wild stories about who he was and the things that he did and the miracles that he performed while he was alive. And in order to see Padre Pio, there was a whole protocol, and it took about 2 years to secure an opportunity to have an interview with him, which Malcolm did. And he went to the monastery where he was at, and he waited the 2 years, because that's how long it took, because that's how long it was on the books. And he finally the day shows up, and he goes, and the protocol was you went to Mass, and then after Mass there was breakfast, and then after that he would meet Padre Pio. And he went to Mass, and he saw Padre Pio up there, and at the end of the service he left. He never met him. And people asked him why he did, and he said this. He said, "I knew if I was to meet this man, my life would change, and I wasn't ready." I wasn't ready. We are a funny creature because we say that we want something, and then all of a sudden we turn it into something else, kind of like Israel. They were slaves in the dark land. They were slaves under the land of Egypt. They wanted freedom. They get freedom, and what do? They simply recreate the system of Pharaoh. Or think about Christianity. Don't you find it interesting that a religion that was based on someone being hung on a cross builds crosses? Isn't that a thought? Aren't we funny people? How that goes. Or how about any of the things that go on with us? And of course, I'm going to reference Lord of the Rings because I know that you're thinking about that. And there are two cases in there, because the ring, that sense of power, because that's what the ring symbolizes, this raw, dynamic power. But the thing about the ring is nothing that the ring creates can ever be good. And no one that touches the ring cannot be uncorrupted by it. It's just a raw thing that the best thing to do and the wisest people in the story avoid it. But then you have these other characters like Boromir or Saruman. They give these long speeches about, if I had the ring, then I would right all these wrongs. I would do these goods. I would defeat the enemy and all his machinations, and I would create this, and then I would be king. And then people would respect me, and I would be powerful, and I would be just. And on it goes, and on it goes, and on it goes. And you just follow it, and it's like, sure enough, you're becoming, going right back to Mordor. You're coming right back to Sauron, because it's the thing that begins to happen. When we give our power away, the authority away, or another way is we think that if we have this thing. I was talking to another friend this week too, and he recently got fired from a job that he'd had. And it was actually, he knew it was coming, he saw it coming down the road, and it was very liberating for him, all things said and done, which he's freely admitting it is. But he's still struggling in the grieving process. And when we're in the grieving process, we start making up stories, right? So we can sleep at night, kind of like Billy makes up stories that he's in control of his phone. But we don't. And so this guy was saying, he says, well, I'm still thinking about, vengeance. It's like, yeah, it's okay to think about that. But the difference is you're not going to act on that. You can play with that, because that's just kind of the grieving process. The grieving process makes us nuts. It does, because we're angry, we're regretful, we're going through all the 5 stages of death and dying. We're trying to bargain, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that, because that's just the process. But the bottom line is, if the cornerstone of our life is centered on who, by being loved, is poor or lacks of anything. I have all kinds of, oh my goodness gracious, every time I read the Washington Post or the New York Times, I've got ideas if I had the ring, what I would do in the world today. And the good news is I'm never going to do those things. It's never going to happen. I don't need to worry about it. And then after a while, I will get bored or upset at where my train of thought is going because it's not serving me at all. I am giving my power away to something that doesn't serve me or anything else. I'm just plugging myself back into that vain thing. We all know what to do. We just may not be ready. And so maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe instead of asking, how do I do this? How do I do that? Why is this? Why is that? Maybe we ask ourselves, what do I need? What do I need? How can I prepare myself? Where is my support? To go back to Michael Beckwith's statement that I said earlier, it is this. We could be lured, drawn, pulled by a vision, or we can be pushed, under the authority of the conditions. And it's kind of our choice. How do we want to live? Do we want to live by reaction or vision? Reaction is easy to live by because we get to be victims. We get to live at the effect of things. My teacher used to say, though, victims are tyrants in drag. We are victims because it's our highest wisdom to control the situation by pretending that we're not controlling the situation, by removing our authority from the situation. Or we can live by vision. And vision is that we are open to direction. We are teachable. We are open. We are willing to be guided. We are willing to be supported. We are willing to be loved. So there's your homework assignment for the week, is to ask yourself this: what is pushing you? What conditions in your world that you live in are pushing you? Where are you living at the effect of something? And you already know the answer. So maybe the next question is, what do I need to be ready to be guided by a vision? What does it mean for me to change my life from living at the effect of things where I give away my power to living by the vision, which is open to the power moving through me and leading me and guiding me? So, who, being loved, is poor, is in poverty of anything? Because love is that guiding and profound force that heals and unites. And I think about that back to the music of the 60s. It was really about love. In fact, it's called the Summer of Love, as messed up as it was. We were children. To a culture of desire, which was about power, which is about distraction. And the reality is this: is power enslaves and love liberates. Where are you giving your power away? What do you need to be ready? And where is the vision leading you? Happy Bastille Day. Thank you.
Beautiful words. Thank you. I'll play the ultimate vision song here. Yes. What can we envision? Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell
below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Beautiful, everyone.
Yeah, well, all beings, may we be free and happy.
Wow. Let's give Dr. Guy and Lee a hand again, guys. That was awesome. So inspiring here. Every week we get to come here and we get to share this essence of life. And there's an author called Jeff Brown, and he's talking about this movement and places where people gather and they share each other's vulnerability, and he describes it as a soul pod. And this is a soul pod right here. We get to really express ourselves in our own true, unique way and find our authentic selves. Listen to a beautiful message from Reverend Dr. Guy and the music, and we get to share. We can have a beautiful meal after today's service. And so we reached our time in our service of conscious giving. And so what a beautiful moment to really express this joy and motivation that we gain every time we're here. We get to take this message and what we experienced today into our lives during the week and encounter all the people that we encounter, and really just have this sense of knowing that we are truly filled and motivated and inspired each and every week. And so if you're giving today, with whatever it may be, with your heart, with your smile, with your beauty, with your essence, with your coin, just know with me by just putting your hand to your heart, where we share and we extend this love through this spiritual loving offering. For I truly know in truth that in our giving, we are receiving. That this gift goes out into that presence of life by which we are filled here today. That it nurtures and brings forth a greater sense of expansion of this beautiful community, this soul pod that we are a part of. And so may these gifts go forth to that vision, the vision of love, the vision of who we are in our authentic self as the community of this sonship, this one presence of life. And so it is.
You planning any place interesting this week?
I've got a few corporate gigs, but nothing public.
Nothing public?
I feel like all my gigs are interesting. They're always looking over the ocean at sunset at some resort, and I feel way out of place, but grateful that I'm there.
Love it. Like Levin in the Weeds. Levin in the Weed. Well, I was just asking if there was a place that we can come see you in, but unless we all put on suits someplace, I guess.
At the barbecue. That's gonna be
At the
best.
barbecue.
That's gonna
The
be
barbecue will
one.
hear you. Okay, good. So I want to thank you all for being here, of course, and all the people that are here for service. Ann and Mike Popovich and Deanna and Kurt show up every Sunday and prepare fabulous food for us. So we I know it's a wonderful thing. And Matt makes bread for us every Sunday as well, and it's always good. I mean, it's delicious bread. Who are our greeters this morning? Who was greeting this morning for us? Chris was greeting. Fabulous. And Noreen was greeting. Nice. And the gift shop's got some fun, cool things in there, so do check that out. Steve on sound, Andrea doing everything. Our music people, thank you guys so much. Paul's good being on the platform with you. It's always good. And I just want to, I'm looking at Charla, and I just want to give a shout out to Charla, man. I see Charla here at least once or twice a week coming in. She's in the gift shop. She's doing things. She's working things. So she's volunteering. If any of you have an afternoon free and you would like to come volunteer here, we would be grateful to have you come hang out with us, because it's always more fun when you're here. And then, of course, I'm forgetting Bob and Karen with the bread that you guys bring every week. That is just remarkable. That is a good gift. So thank you for that. So all of you that just continue to support us in every way. And if I haven't said good morning to those of you in the virtual world, good morning. I was just kind of trying to work things out. Anyway, no excuses. Just good morning. I'm glad that you're watching us.
Good morning, good evening.
Good morning, good evening, good day, good whatever 2 a.m. that you're watching us, that's good. But if you're live, fabulous. So with that, let us go forth in prayer. Let us go forth to celebrate this day. And let me just pray, and I'll just pray my blessing, recognizing that there is a presence for good in the universe. That good is not the sentimental good, but it is the force of life that is always learning and adjusting. It is the presence of love that is always renewing and restoring. It is the presence of beauty that brings us delight. And so may that presence, that force, whether it be a song or a sunset, whether it be a friend or an insight, wherever that whisper for the divine comes, may it fill you with amazement and wonder and awe. Yes. And may that lead us to see the divine in all creation, and to be of service, and to live in harmony. And so we give thanks. We let it be. And so it is.
So it is. Thanks, Rev. Here's a song I wrote about the best way, the only way I know how to prepare yourself to be ready to do the things that you don't want to do. You may know it, so sing along. It's not clear, but I'm just like you. I've been over here pointing fingers too. But if you want change, you gotta do what's good. Gotta carry that water, chop that wood. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood, carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water.
Everything I do is part of this earth. Step by step, I'm gonna add some worth. We can feel afraid, but you can't deny it. We feel at ease when we help each other try it. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. Well, because we're all together. Yes, we are. Sing, we're all together. No matter where you're coming from. Yes, we're all together. Sing, we're all together. We should get together and sing these songs, but it's gonna take more to right these wrongs. I'm gonna know my history, gonna do some favor, treat myself better, and trust my neighbor. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood, carry that water. Cause we're all together. Yes, we are. We're all together. Sing, we're all together. Yes, we're all together. Here we go. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Soul Pod. Somebody said Soul Pod? Soul Pod? I think it's Soul Pod. I think it's Soul Pod. Yeah. 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 I'm pretty sure it was pod. I couldn't remember the first word. I think it was Soul Pod. Yeah. Yeah, like a pod, a piece in a pod, Soul Pod. Good word. Yeah, I know that's your play. It's like your anthem. National anthem. Wow. Yeah, I like that word. Hey, brother, you got another one for me?